Hello students, welcome back to Social Studies class. My name is Abhishek Pratap Singh and today I am here with one new lesson of your textbook. So before starting lesson, let me tell you that I am feeling very great today and I hope the same for you all people, and I hope that you all people must be learning every day. So let's start the lesson. So the name of the lesson or the topic of today's topic is the Southern Plateau. Okay, Southern Plateau. You must have heard this many times in geography or while reading social studies. So today we will understand this in detail. So as you can see that I have written a lot of things around it. We are going to understand each point one by one. Okay, it's just a general introduction so that you people can have an idea before starting the lesson that what we are going to read about. So the name already refers that it's a southern plateau, means it will come in the south part, okay, or the southern part of our country. Okay, we will talk about the southern part of our country. And when it is a plateau, let's understand that what does plateau mean. So plateau means high grounds, means we can understand that the not the plain grounds, but these are the grounds which have a little bit high level, which are located at somewhat height from the grounds. So we are going to talk about those grounds which is at some height, and those grounds have uneven, plains, means that the area which is there over there, which is not plain, that is uneven. Okay, so this is what plateau is. Now the southern plateau. Now where does it lie? It lies to the south of northern plains. Okay, so it lies to the south of the northern plain. We'll need to understand, we will see its map and understand its total geography, okay, total location of it with the help of map. Now let's read more about it. So as you can see, it's in the shape of triangle is here, and I've written the triangle shape. So it has a triangle shape. It's a triangle in shape because as it comes in the south part of our country, and we know that the shape of our country in the south part is almost triangular. Okay. Surrounded by the Aravalli Hills, Rajmahal Hills, Eastern Ghats and Western Ghats. So these things are surrounding this southern plateau. Okay. Now this is all students. Okay, this is all our general introduction. Let's start our lesson. Before starting our lesson, let's go through the maps so that we can have an idea in our mind and we can just assume every place while reading the textbook. So let's move there. So students, after having a general introduction of the southern plateau, now we have the map behind us to understand its geography completely, so that whatever we have read and whatever we will read, we can understand those locations in our mind when we have seen it. So we will just go through these locations. So as we have discussed that it is in the triangular shape, as you can see that is the south part of our India. Okay, and it's almost geography is in the triangle shape only, and when you see it's surrounded by that Aravalli range, means the Aravalli Hills. Okay, from its northwest side, and when you look at its east side almost, you can see the Rajmahal Hills are here, and when you come down, little bit down, when you move down, so you can see that from its west side there are the Western Ghats on the Arabian Sea, and in the Bay of Bengal you can see here that the Eastern Ghats. Alright students, and after it that we have to go through, that is about Narmada Valley. So Narmada Valley is here somewhere in the center like this, and the river is going through it is the Narmada river, which is dividing this whole southern plateau into two parts. So the upper part is a highland, the central highlands, and the part which is left in the south side is a Deccan Plateau. Okay, so like this, Narmada river is dividing this into a two part. Alright students, so after learning about its geographical locations and different points and the surrounding places, let's read out that what is given on our textbook. So looking ahead in this lesson, we will learn about the southern plateau as we are reading it, its location and physical features. Okay, so as we are going through its location and physical features as well, its people, their dress, language, festivals, and we are going to know about the people living in these plateau, okay, the kind of dresses they are wearing, and the languages and the festivals of the people in southern plateau. Okay, so let's start the lesson. So to the south of northern plain lies the vast southern plateau of India. As you can see in the map, as we have already seen this in the map, it's a triangular in shape, we know this, and covers a large part of India. The land here is rocky and uneven. Okay, so as I have already told you that the land is here is a somewhat high from the land of ground. Okay, it's a high ground and has an uneven area, uneven surface. The southern plateau is bordered by the following things. Okay, so the Aravalli range on the northwest, we know it. Okay, the Rajmahal Hills on the northeast, the hilly region called the Eastern Ghats on the east, and the hilly Western Ghats on the west. Okay, so these are the borders, or the southern plateau is bordered by the following locations. So students, as we have already discussed about Narmada Valley, that it divides the southern plateau into two parts. The north one is the Central Highlands and the south is the Deccan Plateau. Okay, so we will going to read one by one about both the kind of plateaus. So the first one is the Central Highlands. Now the Central Highlands include the Malwa Plateau in the northwest and the Chota Nagpur Plateau in the northeast. So if I talk about this Central Highlands, you can see here, maybe it's not visible from your visible on this map, but let me just zoom in little bit so that you can see. So now, can you see on the screen that I have zoomed in into the Central Highlands, and here you can see that it's a Malwa Plateau. Okay, Malwa Plateau is here and the Chota Nagpur Plateau is here. Okay, this comes under the Central Highlands. Now students, after knowing the location of the Malwa Plateau and the Chota Nagpur Plateau, let's move further into the lesson. That is, the Malwa Plateau lies between the Aravalli Hills and the Vindhya Hills. Okay, we have just seen the location of it. It includes the part of Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Some important cities in the region are Gwalior, Indore and Bhopal. Okay, and the Chota Nagpur Plateau includes much of Jharkhand and the parts of Odisha, Bihar and Chhattisgarh. Now, it is rich in minerals like coal, iron, mica, manganese. Important coal mines are present in Gir, which is in Bihar, Jharia, Jharkhand, and Rani in West Bengal. Okay, so these are some of the sites, important coal mines present in the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Two of India's largest steel plants are located in Bokaro and Bhilai. So India's largest steel plants are also there in Chota Nagpur Plateau, that is Bokaro and Bhilai. Panna in Madhya Pradesh has a diamond mine. So this is one of the place in Madhya Pradesh, and it has a diamond mine there. Many parts of Chota Nagpur Plateau are covered with forest, from which we get different kinds of wood and other forest products. And maximum part means mainly parts of the Chota Nagpur Plateau is covered with the forest area, and from there we get a different kind of woods. So students, let's start reading about the Deccan Plateau. So in the map on page number 39, look at the large area of south of Satpura mountains. This is the Deccan Plateau. Okay, so the large area of south Satpura mountains, and that is the Deccan Plateau, is bound by the western and eastern Ghats. It covers parts of Madhya Pradesh. It covers the part of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So these are the states which comes under the Deccan Plateau. There are a number of rivers in the area, okay, like Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri, flow from west to east and fall into the Bay of Bengal. This is because most of the land in the Deccan Plateau slopes from west to east. Okay, now here it is telling about the slopy land which is in the direction of east or from the west, or you can understand by that the west side of land is a bit high as compared to the east side. That's why the water flows from east to west to east side, and that's why maximum of these rivers, means almost the river, all the rivers are flowing into the Bay of Bengal. Now students, if I talk about the Narmada and the Tapi river flows from east to west and fall into Arabian Sea. Okay, this is opposite of the other rivers which are flowing from west to east. Now, the rivers in the Deccan Plateau are not fed by melting of snow, because as you can see in the northern plains, most of the rivers are originated from the melting of snow. Okay, they are coming from the mountains which are covered with the snow. But here they are fed by the rain. Their source of water is rain only. Therefore, they have very little water during the summer months. Okay, and during the summer months they have a very little water. And if the rainfall is not good, they may even dry up during the summer. Such rivers are called seasonal rivers. And what happens when there is a very less rainfall in that Deccan Plateau area, what happens? They may even get dry up during the summers, and those kinds of rivers are called seasonal rivers. Now students, the river in the region flow much faster than the rivers of the northern plain. Since the land is uneven, they form a number of waterfalls. The job on the Shravati river in Karnataka is one of the highest waterfalls in India. So, as you know that the land is uneven in the Deccan Plateau, or in the in the Deccan Plateau only, or in the Southern Plateau, you can see that river keeps on flowing very fast as well, and by moving fast, they have made a lot of waterfalls. So, one of the waterfalls given here, that is Jog Fall on the Shravati river in Karnataka, which is the highest waterfall in India. So rivers like Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri form deltas before flowing into the Bay of Bengal. These are especially good for rice cultivation. Large part of the Deccan Plateau have a black soil where cotton and sugar cane grows very well. Okay, so as you can see, the rivers are flowing through this plateau. So this areas are especially good for the rice cultivation, and yes, it has a black soil where we can grow cotton and sugar cane, which requires a good amount of water for the production. Now dams have been built on many of these rivers. For example, the Nagarjuna Sagar Dam on the river of Krishna. These dams store water for irrigation and provide electricity. So one of the dams is given here, that is Nagarjuna Sagar Dam on the river of Krishna, and we use these dams for the production of electricity and the irrigation purposes. So students, this is all for today's session. We are going to cover up next in next class.